Welcome everyone to another retro review. I'm looking at some pretty interesting things today. So for anyone who doesn't know, I have a Polymega, and what's really great about the system is that you're able to take your cartridges and then load them up into one system with different modules and everything like that. So make sure to check out the link below for the review of the Polymega. But what I'm talking about today is something that's been out for a couple of years now. But I finally got my hands on it. There's new versions of it as well. It is something from Retro Stage, which is RetroBlaster Mini. What this does is this is a USB-C connector to your computer, and then you can go ahead and plug in different modules. As you can see, this is Nintendo 64 into this, just like that. You plug it in there, and it lets you write blank cartridges. Now I do have one for Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Nintendo 64, Sega Genesis, and TurboGrafx 16. Well, I went ahead, you can get the boards from it, links in the description below for anything like that. But you can have rewritable cartridges that you put into each system. You're able to write a legally obtained ROM file to these blank cartridges. And I'm going to show you what that process looks like on a couple of these, and we'll go from there and then plug them into the Polymega and see if they read them as a legit cartridge. So let's get over to that. All right, so as you can see on my screen, I do have the window open right now. And you can see there's the NES, which I will do ahead first. So let me go ahead and plug this cartridge into my system here. So it is a USB-C. So plug it in. And I'll show you what the error looks like when you don't have the right thing in there, and what all the different mappers can and can't do. So when you do this, make sure you go ahead and select, I'm using the Discrete Blaster Pro, and you say write ROM. Let me get into my game system here, and you go into NES. And let me pick something I don't currently have on my EverDrive. Let me think about what I do not have. All right, so Little Samson, the most coveted item there is. As you can see, this uses Mapper 4. Now, I do have Mapper 4 cart. So, that being said, I'm going to do something that is a Master Pro. And look at my list here of what I need to do. And you know what? Let's pick another coveted game that is bleed through your nose expensive for a lot of collectors, and that is DuckTales 2. And what's nice is this is a reprogrammable cart, so it's not a write once and then do it. So it erases what is currently on there. And it is that fast. I will show you what that looks like on the Polymega here in just a second. I want to show you how fast these other systems actually can be. Now, yes, is this pain in the butt way to get every game you don't currently have onto your Polymega? Yes. Are there different ways to put it on there? Yes. But I just want to showcase what this looks like. What do I want to put on here? Let's look at, let's do New Adventure Island. Erasing the TurboGrafx Blaster. I will say that there are time constraints sometimes when it does come down to these. I've been using this now. I've had these readers at my house for about a week now, and I've been slowly building up my library back onto the Polymega of games that I want to have. Am I going to put every game on there eventually? Yeah, yes I am. So that's pretty cool. As like I said, there's easier ways to do it. Yes, there is. I will be doing a video on that later if you guys would like to see that, with, you know, diving into the Polymega and how you can kind of load IPS files on there instead of ROMs that you don't currently have. And I'll show you what it looks like when you do a NES game that is not a officially licensed Nintendo game. It will not show up as being in the database. That is one way they're able to get around essentially being able to cloud copy your ROMs, because with the Polymega, you're able to load up to the Polymega app and kind of play it from anywhere. So they're saying, hey, we're not going to support these unlicensed NES games. That does include anything from Color Dreams, from Wisdom Tree, Tengen, all that fun stuff that goes with it. All right, so that is done. Let me pull up a Super Nintendo game that I do not currently have a physical copy of. Something that looks good. Let's see here. Let's do, so we're going to NES, Super Nintendo. So let's do, I will test these hacks, these ROMs, stuff like that, kind of what that looks like. So we're going to go to another pretty dang expensive game, and that will be, apparently I don't have that on here. Interesting. Let's go ahead and pick, what don't I have? I do have these, but since we are a Star Wars channel, let's go ahead and do Super Star Wars. I said, and what's interesting is the different chipsets that came on the NES. You have the Blaster Pro, which does a bunch of different mappings. I'll link to that below. And you have ones that are MMC1 and then just MMC1. And then you have MMC2 and 4 on the same card, and you have MMC3 and 6. Now, that is not every mapper that exists, but it's a good chunk of them. So between these 4 cards, I'm able to kind of have everything I really want in that way to do it. All right, so Super Nintendo's written. And we're going to do something different for the Sega Genesis. What's really interesting is you're able to do Sega Genesis 32X. So let's go into my Genesis, and we'll go into a 32X game that I not currently have loaded onto it. That'll be Knuckles Chaotix. You know, and depending on the size of the file and everything like that, you know, this isn't very long. It's usually about a minute or less. But we will be getting into what is the most time constrained here relatively shortly. And that's going to be the Nintendo 64. Right now, I just happen to get the boards and the riders and the rewritable carts with it for the Game Boy Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance, even though the Polymega doesn't currently support that. I got it just in preparation of that coming out. So let's get into that here briefly. All right, Sega Knuckles Chaotix is done. Like I said, when this is all said and done, we will go ahead and pop these all into the Polymega with the different modules installed and see what that looks like. And then for Nintendo 64, I've been kind of going through these. Let's go ahead and look at Clay Fighters 33 1/3, which is we'll do Sculptor's Cut, which is once again a pretty rare game. I'll not be saying where I got these ROMs. You can go online and find it yourself. But I've been pretty pleased with this so far. It's been a fun experience. It's just something I really enjoy doing here, and ways to modernize your systems. In 2024, in the past, like I said, I'm not the first one to do these videos. I won't be the last one to do these videos. But I will go ahead and fast forward, or really skip this part of the video until it's done. All right, as you can see, this is done. Took 4 minutes, almost 10 seconds to write this ROM. So you can see why this process, at least for the 64, is a slow, painful process in comparison to how quickly it does load onto the Polymega. So let me load it up and we'll be right there. Okay, and we are back here with the Polymega. I'm going to be putting all these carts into the Polymega, kind of showing what I did before. But this time with the Polymega in place with these burnt or created ISOs and ROMs from these cartridges. So let's get into this. So currently I have the Nintendo 64 module in there. So as you can see, I have 114 games currently in there. As you can see, I have Clay Fighter Sculptor's Cut. I currently do not have it. So 16 megabytes. You saw how long it took for this to get created, but let's get into this. I added to my internal storage, and just like that, it is now there. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the 64, put it in a separate module. Okay, so what I am doing here is I am just adjust my camera here. All right, I did put in these NES. As you can see, DuckTales 2. Currently don't have it. Add a collection. Showing collection. And just to show that it works. Ta-da. See? All right, now that this NES is taken care of, this is just testing all the carts and modules I have. Next up is the Super Nintendo. Super Star Wars. And just like that, it is there. Alright, that is Super Nintendo. Next up is a system I don't know many games about, but let's get into it. New Adventure Island. Just like that. You can see I have very limited TurboGrafx 16 games. And last but not least, now if you remember, the Sega Genesis cartridge, which is a sticky cartridge put into the Polymega, I have found. As you can see, this is a 32X. As you can see, I now have it there, just to show that the 32X works for what it is. This game in a very long time. Do I think it holds a candle to any other Sonic game? Not in particular. Feels really weird to play on this Polymega controller. That's nice. That was an interesting mechanic, to say the least. Makes the game very slow. Alright, so you're able to see now what this looks like. Like I said, there are different ways of doing this, and I'm just getting started with here. So let me know in the comments below if you want to see more, if there's anything you want me to test here with the Polymega and these carts. Like I said, I will be testing some Tengen games and other stuff like that, and I'll make a video below if you want me to, what that looks like with the Tengen and how to remap it to a different mapper. So we'll see you next time.
This has been the Retro Alcove with the Retro Review. Bye.